And we're back with another Affairs of Men. This time we have a voice message from a new member. Very excited. Let me give you guys the game. Okay, so last week we broke down Joe Biden's agenda for so-called Black America. We did a lengthy discussion regarding the lack of precision and effectiveness of Joe Biden's pandering to our vote. So I got a voice message that I wanted to share with you guys. If you're a member, you get our phone number and can contribute to our show as well.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for allowing me to speak and contribute to the topic. With Joe Biden and the Black agenda, it's highly problematic for a lot of reasons, many reasons. And I hope that Black people just don't get duped again, because we always get duped in these situations when we have some power and some leverage. We give it up on this false hope. But in terms of the plan, what stood out to me most that would make sense for our community is the $70 billion for Black colleges. That makes sense to me. That's the way that we can, see our Black institutions, build on that legacy and have them continue. So that makes sense to me. There was a piece in there about loan forgiveness if people do public service work. I really don't like that. I think that kind of tracks our community. Our community is constantly tracked into those kind of professions, public service, which those are great professions, and I'm not knocking them.
Right.
But that doesn't put us in a position necessarily to be on the track to get an MBA or to, acquire some of these career fields and positions that are highly lucrative, right? So that puts us in that position. So that's what's problematic to me about that. Beyond that, I think that some of the other pieces that I found to be, honestly problematic, the idea that touting out that we're going to be given some down payment assistance. So that's what
for homes
was one of the other highlights, some down payment assistance in the realm of $15,000.
What house can you buy with that?
Real estate, what's a kind of traditional loan is 20% down. So 20% down in my city, in LA, on average, a house, you might be able to find a house for $600,000. So 20% down is $120,000, right? So he's giving 15 towards that, or even just take it broader than that. In the U.S., the median house price in the U.S. is $320,000. So we're talking $64K down to meet the requirements of the loan. So he's going to give us $15,000. To me, that's I don't know if that doesn't work for me in terms of the solution. Other pieces were criminal justice reform, the Obamacare stuff, extending that, Title I money, infrastructure, right to vote, all of those things. The issue with that is it's labeled as for people of color. And in my experience, when things are labeled people of color or POC, as people name, oftentimes put us all into that same bucket, then who gets picked last?
How can you have an agenda for so-called Black people, a specific agenda, but now you're talking about Asians and Mexicans? No disrespect to them, but we have our own issues.
Okay, so there's an umbrella of items under Joe Biden's plan that I find problematic. And those things are the criminal justice reform pieces, Obamacare expansion, the Title I, low income support, the infrastructure, right to vote stuff, violence against women stuff, and even the teacher pieces, educator pieces. My problem with that is that it's earmarked as people of color. And when you designate something people of color, you're not specific. Yes. So what usually happens is Black people get left off of that list. Other folks end up benefiting because it says people of color, and that's good enough for folks. If it's not earmarked towards Black people, Black Americans specifically. So that's my problem with that. When you look at other communities and how people fund other communities, you know, what they do is they call it restricted funding. Restricted means I'm going to give funding for this particular group of people. I'm going to fund Pacific Islanders in this particular amount, and I say it's restricted for Pacific Islanders. That means you cannot spend those funds on someone else. My money is restricted. And to me, the demand federally should be, okay, for all of these things under the umbrella that I mentioned, the criminal justice piece, the Obamacare expansion, infrastructure pieces, you know, the right to vote work, all of that Joe Biden is putting on the table. I want to know that those funds are restricted to African Americans around the country.
Yes.
Now that's something that, okay, I could get behind that. That inspires me. That's something that, okay, I can see that benefiting us, because what he's projecting, proposing for the black colleges, that's going to directly impact the black community. But these other pieces, anybody can benefit from them. And when you think about, you know, getting appropriate pay for teachers and educators, isn't it true that, you know, black males specifically, there's a lack of black males in that industry? So how does that benefit us? Okay, that's a question.
Yeah, I was the only black teacher I knew.
The other piece around violence against women, if you really want to, first of all, make that claim that you're going to be able to reduce the amount of violence against women, that's a pretty bold claim, and I think it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. But if you're going to make that claim, how you support women is you support our men. Men are coming home and beating their wives and being disrespectful to their wives and to their girlfriends because they feel out of place in this society. They don't have a place, and they're not earning. Give black men a living wage, and I mean a living wage. Give black men an opportunity to participate in the system at that level. And I'm not talking public servant. I'm talking black men making six-figure incomes. Then you will see the conditions of black women improve. So I know I'm kind of long-winded, but I just wanted to say that about Biden and really, you know, big up on.
Yeah, that was getting. Thank you. That was an amazing call. If you hit me up on Twitter and CIRC7E Media, replace the L with the 7, we can get you the phone number and you can become a member. I mean, I don't want to rehash the same video that I did, but I mean, I went through Joe Biden's whole agenda studying for this, and I did not see the word slavery one time. How you gonna talk about the problems of so-called black America and not mention slavery? Or I didn't even see the word black women one time, or black men. You know what? I think a lot of times our people are scared to ask for something. I think people are scared. They're apologetically so-called black. You know what I'm saying? Like they're scared to say, yeah, nah, this money's supposed to be for black people and that's it. Like that's what all the other people do. Like she said, restrictive funding. Anyway, strong phone call. Joe Biden, if you want our vote, we're going to need a little bit more. All right? Affairs of Men, Ali Salam. Peace.